here till 7 o'clock. Adam Gold's got Stormwatch special hour-long leading you up to face-off at 8 o'clock with Mike Maniscalco and Trip Tracy. Tom, thanks for dropping by, man.
Good to be here.
Last time we talked to you, we gave you a little bit of a hard time with the Storm Brew.
Storm Brew prices.
I'm sure that's working out for you, though. I'm always wrong on that one. Right, inflation.
You guys didn't know about that then.
Now, see, I was mad about the beer. Joe's upset about other reasons. He's over there shaking his head already.
Do you want to start right? Or you're like, congratulations?
No. I have too many people are saying that.
Are you really about to get your own sports book?
We're trying.
Oh, my God.
It wouldn't be mine.
Yeah,
ours.
Sure.
So
Your license.
So how does that work? Because I know legislation's supposed to be introduced this week, or at least that's the indicated report. Our guy Brian Murphy, I know you've talked to him over at WRAL about what's next and the education that needed to take place after last year's debacle. I'm calling it a debacle because we should have got it last year.
Yeah, the Dixie Classic was invoked.
So what does this mean for you? You're not running the book, but you get a license? How does this work for you?
Yeah, so I think the way it's worked in other places, and I don't know what they're going to do here, is the FanDuels, MGMs, DraftKings are going to do mobile betting.
Okay.
And then there'll be some limited number of sports bars, sports books where you can place a physical bet.
Okay.
But you're still able to place a mobile bet anyway. So it's incremental in the sense of you're more likely to do it because there's TVs and it's easy, but it won't be like that's the only way to bet or anything.
Okay. And
don't downplay getting your
own book. I'm sorry.
Man.
I wish.
I'm not saying you're going to be out there setting the line like a sharp. I'm just saying you don't even want to be that guy. You want to be the guy who collects the money.
We want to serve the food and get people to watch TV. I think we're not actually in the betting business.
Just
so
twist
you know.
the mustache and embrace it.
I wish I was. I wish it was like that.
So is there going to be a book in the building?
I believe either attached next to inside. I don't know how it all works.
Well,
that would be the plan.
I saw some of the renderings for whatever the renovation is supposed to be, and some places actually have the ability to overlook the game action and things like that. I'm assuming you're aiming for the same thing here at PNC.
I don't know if it's possible, but that'd be neat.
Okay, so what is possible? I know that the Centennial Authority had met earlier in the week. I think did you just meet with the Centennial Authority before you sat down?
There was a little reception there, yeah.
Okay, so where do things stand for you, NC State, the city, and everything else on finally getting this renovation going?
I think there's a lot of work being done, and I'm not smart enough to understand how many people are involved with this and what they need to do, but I think people are doing stuff, and we're excited to try to do our part.
And the naming rights deal is kind of part of this whole moving forward too, or?
No, I mean, I think we've got PNC for some multiple amount of years from now. So, what you hope is you kind of stick with who you're with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tom Dundon, Carolina Hurricanes owner, joining us here on the OG. We're getting you ready for the Stadium Series. It's the Canes and the Caps tonight. All right, where are you sitting tonight? You going to be inside? You going to be outside?
I think I'm half in, half out.
Okay.
I saw it up there.
Because I feel like you need to be outside for at least a period maybe.
My kids are down in the student section.
Okay.
And we've got some kids that grew up with my sons that I've known since they were little. So I may go down there for a little while. Depends how cold it is.
Okay.
It's going to be in the 40s around game time, so that's good. I mean, it's ideal conditions. You had peak North Carolina weather in the last 48 hours. 75 degrees on Thursday. Nasty storm comes through on Friday, and it's gorgeous today. That's North Carolina.
Yeah, I should. I'm going to go down there. I definitely want to go see what it's like.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that. Like, I wanted them to do it. We first met about this. I said, we got to put students on the glass and make it the whole. Yeah. You could have done the whole infield. And once you see it over there, you realize with the pipes and all that, it's not as feasible. So this was the next best thing.
Look at all these Stadium Series jerseys.
Printing money over here.
No, they don't. They should have been a C. That was the other thing I wanted to yell at you about.
Terrible.
So let's get to when you bought the team. And I remember Adam Gold and I were there for the press conference, and you said straight up to Gary Bettman there on the podium, like, I want one of those outdoor games. And I double-checked with Adam. I'm like, was it me or did Gary just kind of scoff at that? Like, come on now. Let's slow down. But you straight up said, I want this. You were willing to underwrite it to make this happen. So based on what the vision you had versus what we get today, are you happy with what you got? Are some things that you realized in the process and logistics that you never could have done? How do you like how it's turned out?
Yeah, so a lot of that was I felt like, as we tried to gain some momentum, it would help. Didn't have any idea of that you get this many people. I didn't know. I was told it's a college market, tailgating, all these different things. You walk in the building, there's a stadium right there. It kind of made sense. And I thought we could just do it ourselves. I told him, we don't need you. Just let us do it.
Right.
And now that I'm here, I realize that was insane, that we couldn't have done it ourselves. They've done a really good job. And it looks obvious now, right? Now that we're all here, it looks obvious. But you have to give the NHL and Gary a lot of credit, because when he said yes, he maybe shouldn't have, right? If we're being honest, he probably shouldn't have. And in hindsight, it looks easy.
What do you mean when he said yes, maybe he shouldn't have? Why is that?
Well, they only have a couple big events, and you can't have one fail, right? If you fail, that would be a really bad job by him.
Yeah.
He was always the one kind of saying, look, I was here when it was good.
Yeah.
And if he was always very supportive of the market. And so it wasn't like, it took a little while, but they had to believe it would work. It wasn't, I thought it was just about the money. If I paid, we'd get it. Good, right. It wasn't that. It was about the experience.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because, I mean, look, Joe and I have been doing this for a long time. You know, I graduated from State in 01. Giglio graduated, 96? We were here for 02. We were here for 06, 09. And, yeah, when you're not making the playoffs for 10 years, you're not going to have that much interest. But I guess this gets back to Rod Brindamore and culture building and you putting him in place kind of led to why today is as fun as it's going to be because you're winning.
I actually praised you on the air yesterday.
No.
It doesn't happen often, but I did.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm the last person that needs that.
No, but I said, when you have a guy on staff like Rod was, it can be difficult to look at that and just say, hey, I mean, I'm throwing everything out. I'm coming in and getting somebody new. But you saw something in Rod. Obviously, we know the innate leadership qualities, but you do deserve credit for seeing something in him and keeping him.
Well, it was kind of lucky because the way the timing worked, didn't get it early. Like we started the process in the preseason, and it took longer. It took a long time. So it was January, and then it was like, okay, I didn't think the team was very good. They kind of expected to lose back then. They had good pieces, but they didn't expect to win. And then my thought was, what are the chances? There's this great player who's now a coach who wants to live here, who could also be a good head coach. Like, who's that lucky? And so what ended up happening is because from January until June or whenever we hired him, you get to know him and you talk to people. But if it had just been name a new head coach in January, there's no way.
Right.
And because I was predisposed to get rid of pretty much everybody that had anything to do with that. And then it turned out Don and Eric Tulsky and Darren and Sergei Samsonov and all these people, they had great people here. It was just the timing wasn't right yet. So it's all worked.
We got to squeeze in one hockey question before you leave. You're sitting on a monster, right? Like you're not going to let this team. You're not going to stick tight at the deadline here. You understand where the window is. You understand who you got left on contracts and all those other. I don't need to explain any of this.
I'll
to you.
Explain
right?
to you though. The window is. I think I read one. Maybe it was you. The window's way bigger, I think, than you guys think. We're gonna be good every year. Having said that, I'm trying.
Okay.
We're trying.
But I'm just saying, sometimes it's your year. You don't know it.
It's our year. It's gonna be our year every year. Every year.
I love the optimism,
I love the confidence,
my man,
but sometimes you do make a move that indicates to the room this is it. I mean, we saw this back in 06 in the Stanley Cup run. They made aggressive moves to indicate, hey, look, we're
going
in
for it
to win it, and you got space. I mean, unfortunately, with the
we got a lot of space.
You got
space isn't our problem.
All right, so I'm reading the body language here.
We're trying. I promise
you. He's sitting on a monster. He's not going to just sit there and be like.
We are trying very hard. Yes. But there ain't a lot of monsters out there.
Fair.
How many people make us better? That's the hard part.
I get that part.
Look where you are right now. That's what I'm saying. But I don't think the East is. I think you're in a situation in the East right now where you go. Boston has been statistically the most dominant team, but you're not going to be afraid of Boston when you see them in the postseason again. That's not how it works. So that's how I look at it for you. You go, hey, you know what? Who's standing in our way?
Fair.
Tom Dundon, owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, joining us here on the OG alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. All right, before we say goodbye, we appreciate the time. Stadium Series has happened, or it's going to happen. What's next? All-Star game push, renovation push. What's the next big thing you want to bring to this area?
After we do what Joe wants, get the monster.
The whole Stanley Cup.
We got to get a monster.
Yeah.
My thought is that this is pretty good, and I don't know that this isn't better for us, for this market, than an all-star game or a draft. So I would hope that when this is over and everybody looks at it, that they say this is the kind of thing you should do more often here, and maybe because everybody's got to get their turn at
of
different
course,
events.
Of
I
course.
would rather focus on something we can do really well that I think is really fun. But I don't know that that's my call. But that would be my goal to get another one of these. Quickly?
Would you call up Tepper and be like, "Hey, dude,
Ooh,
you got
Charlotte?
You got a huge building, Bank of America Stadium. It's the Carolina Hurricanes. Up it up a notch."
I would. Tepper's awesome, by the way. So yeah, I'd call him anyway, just because I like him. But I hadn't thought about asking him that. It's a good idea, though.
No, I'm just saying, like Carter-Finley, understandably, this area, as we're dealing with traffic, as my wife continues to text me about traffic updates from Edwards Mill and everything else. I know you're not in charge of the traffic.
Should we blame you for that?
No. If we do the renovations, it's my number one focus. I think we can do so good if you take a fresh look at it.
What is this if we do? We talked to Philip Isley. He said this is happening. There's no parking deck.
I'm in.
You're safe.
They got my vote.
Okay. State won't hate you. Okay. There's no parking deck.
No, we're
going to
make it better. Yeah, no, we'll make it better.
All right. That works. Tom Dundon, Carolina Hurricanes owner. We appreciate the time. Enjoy the game tonight. We appreciate the boldness of it all and saying, yep, we're getting one of these. And sure enough, here we are. Took a little while with the pandemic, but honestly, things work out for a reason. 25th anniversary, awesome night for Cam Ward on Thursday. I really do think it kind of all played out really, really nicely for everything to come together and to culminate in this event.
I think it's better because if last year they'd have told us when we pushed it, you didn't know where COVID was at the time. I'm done with that conversation.
This can't happen without it.
Awesome. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Thanks again.
Now
I don't do that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't do that. My bad.
See you guys.
Hey, things have held over for